Hey guys, and welcome back to another season on the Coach Dave Academy YouTube channel. We're here today for week 1 of 2025, season 2 in the Porsche Cup Car series here at the Silverstone circuit. Let's get into the first hot lap. So we start the lap off here then, down the pit straight, heading towards turn 1. And usually this will be flat out on a lot of other cars. So slight dab of the brake, make sure we clip the apex on the inside, get your tyres across the AstroTurf, and then full throttle for this left-hander into turn 3, heavy on the brakes, make sure in the middle of the circuit to maximise turn 2, and then into the apex, get it back to the right hand side, still in second gear, and then again make sure we clip the apex, not too much, we don't want to hit the sausage curb, but then back on full throttle down the Wellington straight, and then under the bridge, just making sure we spot our next braking point, and then just as the curb starts, slamming on the brakes. Make sure we keep it nice and tight in third gear, use all of the apex curb again, and then nice and tight round here, around Brooklands. Focus on the new exit a lot here with the straight that follows, and using all of the exit curb as well. And then cutting to the inside here, as close to the wall as we can get, just to minimise the amount of length we're taking with the track. Into Copse Corner, about 40% on the brakes, make sure we get that hooked onto the inside curb, and then all of the exit curb we can use as well. And then the famous Maggotts and Beckett sequence, using a bit of the sausage curb on the entry, make sure we're clipping all of the apexes, using a bit of the AstroTurf on the inside as well, just being really smooth with the inputs, and then back on full throttle as we go onto the hanger straight. Completely flat, and then flicking it back to the left hand side as we prepare for Stowe. Down to third gear, make sure we get all of the apex that we can, and then on the power as early as we can, make sure we don't go past track limits, and then pull it back to the right hand side, braking just on the curb on the outsides, make sure we don't hit the sausage curbs on these final couple of corners, and then back on full power, and that will complete a lap of the Silverstone circuit. So let's get into the hot lap guide then for the Silverstone circuit. So that was just a brief lap with a bit of commentary, just for the hot lap there at the start. But now for the analysis, obviously heading down the pit straight towards turn 1. Sorry. So you really want to be looking out for this curb and these braking markers on the left-hand side. So really important that you use this curb or outside curb, sorry, for turn 1, just to open up the corner as much as you can. It's quite a high speed corner, so obviously the more we can open it up the better. We can carry a bit more speed through the apex. Bit of brake, about 20% just initially, and then trailing off it quite quickly here, so you can see we're on the brakes and straight off it as we get towards the apex. You want to make sure you use a bit of this apex curb and AstroTurf on the inside as well, and again that will just help you carry more apex speeds. Don't want to go too far though, because you'll pick up on off tracks, just watch out for that one. But then once you pass the apex, full throttle through turn 2, using all of the curb on the inside, and then the car will naturally trail out here as we go flat out for turn 2, so you can end up somewhere around here, and it's your job really to get it back towards the left hand side and the center of the circuit. So you can see as we're braking, the car's pointing slightly left towards the outside of the circuit, and that's just to open up turn 3. As you are changing direction, it will be a bit harder, or a bit easier, sorry, to lock up. So if you are struggling with that, just go a bit more rearwards on the brake bias. And then that should be fine. Down to second gear, you can see here, and then just clipping the apex. You can see we're using about 80% of the brake pressure. Just a nice peak there, you can see. I'll play it through for you once more, just so you can see it in a bit more detail. And yeah, about peaking about 80% on the brakes and just trailing off it towards the apex. And as we get towards the apex, back on the throttle, which is generally how it goes for this car. Again, just make sure you avoid the sausage curbs on the inside. This one's quite a big one. It's quite horrible. If you clip it, it unbalances the car. You're not going to get much traction on the exit, and it's just going to slow you down. So watch out for that one. But yeah, second gear, back on the full throttle initially. And then again, flicking it back towards the right-hand side, just open up the next one. Then in second gear, slight dab with the brake. And this one's all about the exits. You want to take a nice wide line in as much as you can to get a lot of your braking and rotation done on the apex. So you can see at the apex, we're using about 30% or so of the brake pressure. And then on power, straighten the car up as much as you can. Let the car trail out to the exit curb. completely flat through here. It's not really a corner. And onto the Wellington Straight. And then we head towards the next heavy braking zone. As I said, you're looking to brake around the 100-meter board here and start the curb, then down to third gear. And you're really just following this white line round. So if we play in slow motion here, you can kind of see what we're doing with the brake as well. So really easy on the brake pedal, just trailing off it really slowly. And then we're just looking to follow this white line round on the inside, still in third gear. And then we're taking quite a late apex here, about that red panel there on the inside. That's where you really want to apex. And then, as I said, still in third gear, just make sure we're nice and straight on the exit as well and not running too wide out here, just so we don't compromise the hairpin that follows. I'll just show you what that looks like in the Delta app so you can just see the brake trace in a bit more detail. Here you've got the speed trace, throttle, brake, steering as well. So you can see we're nice and smooth on the brake trace initially, as we are in the Porsche Cup car, up to about 66% to be exact, peak pressure. And then we're just trailing all the way around, following that white line, as I said in the video. Just make sure we're following that white line round, and being really smooth on the brake pedal really helps that. And you can see we're nice and gentle on the steering as well. You can see at the bottom here. And then we get to the apex if eventually. And you can see we get back on the throttle. As I was saying, just we want to be really gentle on the throttle as well. You can see we have a stab at the throttle, and then we just come off it slightly, just to make sure we don't have any slips on the exit, and we keep nice and straight. You can see the same as again for the following corner, just nice and smooth, and then really smooth on the throttle input as well. And then back on with the video. As I said, we're here at the hairpin. So you've got a double apex corner really here. So you've got the first apex here, just in line with this AstroTurf. And then we play it on, go quite wide initially, and you're really getting a nice cut back with the second apex here, about in line with this panel on the insides. And then just be really patient again with the throttle here. So you notice we're feathering it slightly here, really being gentle. You can't quite get on full throttle yet, so about 50 or 60%, then slowly just increasing it as the car straightens up and the grip increases. And then once you're straight enough, you can put it full throttle and go as wide as you can really with this exit curb. And then flat out as we head towards Copse Corner. As I said, just make sure we're as close to this wall as we can on the insides. And then heading towards Copse Corner, using all of this inside or outside curb, sorry, to open up the corner. And then slamming on the brakes again in line with 100-meter board on the outsides. Down to fourth gear, trailing it in again with the brake pedal towards the apex. And then it's really important to get in this inside strip of AstroTurf. It actually hooks the car slightly. You can feel it when you're driving. If you miss that bit of AstroTurf on the inside, the car just understeers wide. So really important to make sure your right-hand tyres are inside this little divot here with the AstroTurf. And then back on full throttle. The limit here, the track limit, so the edge of this black and white curb. So as long as you've got some sort of tyre on that curb, that's absolutely fine. And then heading towards Magnus and Beckett's. Keep it as far right as you can on the way in. And you want to use this sausage curb as well, just to open up the first right-hander. So make sure you've got your tyres on this sausage curb. Keep it in fifth gear for the first one. Again, just using all of the Astro on the insides. And fourth gear through here, slight dab of the brake again, just to get the nose in. Again, pretty much all of the car over the AstroTurf and the curb. And then down to third gear for the final one. Keep this one as tight as you can, and then on the throttle as early as you can for the hanger straight. And all of the curb on the exit as well. And then underneath the advertising boards and the tunnel. And then back towards the left. Quite early in the brakes here compared to the other corners. So it's kind of in the middle of the 100-meter board and the 150 boards. Not braking too hard initially, just again a nice slow curve up to about 50%. And then you want to get this one turned in quite nice and early. So you can see we're hitting the curb already at this point. Where usually we do it halfway through the corner, and that's because this one's quite a long radius corner. Down to third gear, still got the brake pedal on slightly, you can see, and then on the power as early as we can. Let the car trail out. Again, the limit is the curb, so as long as you've got some sort of tyre on that curb, you're fine for track limits. And then into the final heavy braking zone for the circuit, braking just before the curb and the 100-meter boards. Again, kind of in the middle of the 150 and 100-meter boards. Down to second gear. Make sure we avoid this sausage curb on the insides. And same goes for this one. This one will absolutely launch you in the air, so really avoid this one. It can give you damage as well, so just watch out for that one. But yeah, that completes a lap pretty much. Full throttle, flat through the final corner as well, and that completes a lap. So that was the hot lap guide then for week 1 of 2025 season 2. Now I hope that was useful for you guys. As usual, check out all the latest data packs for week 1 on coachdaveacademy.com, and all the latest hot lap guides can be found on this YouTube channel as well. But yeah, I will see you next week for week 2, guys. So take care.